made several mods for Spec Ops The Line's campaign before, and some touch-ups for the weapons in multiplayer, but I hadn't really touched up outside of testing the single-player mods that worked over there. I never really messed around with enemy balance or the way the player handles things or models or anything of the sort. It was untapped ground. I really thought over how I wanted to tackle it. Well, as you guys have seen with my recent uploads, I sorta have begun making an overhaul mod for co-op. I didn't really mean for it to happen, it was just start off as a test to see how different factors would play out in co-op, and just grew from there with more and more experiments. So now I'm working on Spec Ops The Line IDF Incursion, an overhaul for the cooperative mode in Spec Ops The Line that is meant to be played alone or cooperatively. I wanted to balance it in a way that it felt fair if you were trying to beat it on your own, since you can't always guarantee people will be there to play it, but also it would still provide a good challenge if you wanted to play with other people, and that goes for across the board with the modes. There are a lot of questions that have come up about it, understandably so, given how spontaneous it was, so I thought I should tackle them here. Let's get into it. So, this started out as an offshoot of the campaign mini-mods concept. I had an idea of tweaking the medium character models to resemble the Israeli Defense Force. In particular, the models from Counter-Strike Global Offensive. They looked cool, and I liked their design, so I thought they could carry over well to Spec Ops. And setting the refugees level as a raid by the IDF felt like a natural fit for this setting. It ended up playing pretty well, and since there was a pretty positive reception, I moved on to the other levels bit by bit, changing more things each time, like in the second level changing the officer's appearance that you're supposed to assassinate, in the third level giving different weapons to the player, and changing the player models and textures. In the fourth one, it was adjusting the time limit the player had and trying to balance it around that. Each map provided different challenges and required a lot of testing to get where I wanted it to be, but in doing so I learned a lot. And I'd say it was a success on that front. In terms of what you can expect from it, I would say it puts things a little more balanced if you want to play it solo, or if you are a newcomer to Spec Ops The Line. By default, you have the same stats across the board in co-op mode. About 130 health and same running, walking stats as Walker, with the difference that you can hear the hit sounds when they play, so you know if you've landed a shot or not. The changes I've made give you a bit more of an edge on which makes the initial modes good for getting to know the levels better, and then the higher levels better for a challenge, a real fight. The player has 210 health instead of 130 here. They regenerate health a second faster, and the time it takes to get back to their full health is also a second faster, from 4 seconds on both ends to 3 seconds on both ends. Their walking and running speed's also a little quicker as well, not by a lot, but just enough to help get in and out of cover easier. The enemies have unchanged health stats, but the guns are a lot different. Most of the regular and medium enemies carry the TAR-21, which is part of the inspiration for the mod, honestly. I really like the TAR-21, and I get why it's like a single appearance weapon, but it's cool to give enemies it from time to time. I know Permanent Revolution and Eternal Penance have moments where enemies carry it and the player can get it outside of Chapter 13. There are also micro Uzis in the easy mode and UMP-45s in normal mode, along with M1014 shotguns on easy and normal, to change up the weapons and to give it more of a professional feeling. So you're up against enemies with stronger guns for the most part, but also ones that would fit the IDF theme. Again, I've said this in the description of every video I've done on this, but this isn't some statement. This campaign isn't a call to action, a call out of sorts. It's not a statement. It's not a commentary. This isn't the Wolfenstein reboot. This isn't, I don't know, Last of Us Part 2. I don't have some grand thing to say about human nature or the conflict and whatever. I just think the IDF have cool uniforms and guns, and the stuff in Spec Ops was within limits of being tweaked to look like them, since I hadn't gotten to the point where I could piece together the multiplayer bodies and heads in the blender by that point. So, sorry to disappoint people who are expecting me to go off on that side. That's not what this channel is about. It's more of just modding for fun, coming up with absurd ideas. In the same way that Lugo getting a MAGA hat, or Walker fighting Handmaid's Tale cosplayers, or fighting the UN. There's no statement behind that. It's just silly. It's meant to be absurdist and not to have any deeper meaning. I'll probably do some other real-life factions in the future as well, so don't expect any meaning to be tied behind them either. As for what you can expect from playing this mod, well, I can't add any more levels to co-op, unfortunately. Custom levels for Spec Ops seems possible, if Dishonored is any indication, since they run the same engine, but no one's really cracked that code yet. It is encouraging that I've been able to tweak stuff like the time limit in car park extraction, or the starting weapons in car park extraction and graveyard sabotage. It does feel like there's more flexibility, and I like how each co-op level in this is kind of like a vignette of its own. You're getting a little snippet of a greater conflict going on, where each is a different side. Like graveyard sabotage has you play as a couple of UN peacekeepers who are trying to shut down a bunch of jammers set up by the IDF. Since it's a much longer range map than the others, one of the players gets a scout tactical to start, and you will need that. Car park extraction is one of the toughest maps since you have a time limit, but the time has been relaxed somewhat. You might still cut it close if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're on a higher difficulty, but the player is given some serious advantages to start. The equipment is better across the board. One player has M32 MGL and Desert Eagle. The other has an M4 and a Python 44 Magnum. So you're given a lot of buffs right out the gate. The level where you're assassinating the 33rd VIP has also been recontextualized as taking down an IDF officer in the area. And some of the guns have been tweaked accordingly to reflect that. The Refugees one has the least amount of changes, but the arsenal changes and all that are still present. The enemies have been given visual overhauls to fit the vibe I'm going for, though there are creative liberties being taken. The regular easy difficulty enemies are guys in helmets with sunglasses and greenish uniforms. skin tones like olive and a palish tone, more of a tanned tone. Normal difficulty is where the medium soldiers come in with their different outfits and balaclavas and armor, and reflects in how much damage they can take. Where things get interesting are hard and foobar. Because that's when Zulu squad equivalents show up, and they are much better armored. They wear EOD suits in varying shades of green, and they carry some of the best guns you can find, like the Desert Eagle, the Scar, the FAMAS, and the M99 Sniper. So battling them is a lot tougher because they can take a lot more punishment, and they use their durability to aggressively flank you. But there are ways to get around them. My advice would be they were given these very bulky suits for a reason. That orange visor is a big invitation to land a headshot on them with a weapon like the Desert Eagle or the Scout Tactical. Believe me, it is very satisfying to nail a headshot from a distance. And their design is meant to reflect that. I'm sure the IDF does use EOD suits, but I doubt they would use them in this capacity. It's just for rule of cool, and because I didn't have other models prepared, and because I like the heavy flamer model it's based off of. So the player's given a clear indication they're fighting a unique version of the IDF, one that's tougher and one that is going to bring more punishment, but also one that'll stand out more and will have more obvious weak spots. The heavy is about the same, and the bayonet runner and sniper are mostly the same. The sniper has a darker uniform, and the bayonet runner has green pants instead of the tan camo pants. The officer is also wearing a dark uniform in the level where you're assassinating the VIP gorge top. Outside of those factors, you can expect, I'd say, the difficulties to have some changes in terms of like the flavor text and the names for maps and difficulties, just to help players be immersed a little more. I'm not going to touch the loading screens, but everything else is getting tweaked. As for when you can expect it to be done, it basically is done. I'm kind of just spacing things out because I just released the campaign mini mods, and there are a lot of other projects I'm tackling right now. The big breakthrough with the multiplayer bodies and heads has me really encouraged, so shout out to the Unslain Dragon again for helping me figure that out. But I'd say, I don't know, a couple of weeks maybe you can expect this mod to come out. It won't change the SR game file at all. Uninstalling it will require you to reset your files, so I might include a backup version of the co-op files that are changed. That way it's easy to uninstall it by just copying them back in. We'll see. But just wanted to give you an update on the mod, give you guys an overview of what I've been working on, and what the overall goal is behind this project, since it did come up abruptly. I didn't plan for this to be an entire campaign of sorts. I really thought my first co-op mod would be an attempt to recreate the Adams DLC using the levels, but I'll set that aside for another time. I'm just glad people were receptive to it, and that people want to try it out. Same as the UN mod that just came out. I'm grateful for the support, guys. I'm glad people are interested in Spec Ops and in modding the game. That means a lot, and I'll continue to deliver on that as long as you guys want it. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.